Everyone says the same thing. Never claim Social Security at 62. And if you do, you're making a huge mistake. But here's the problem. That advice is based on one assumption, that you'll live long enough, that markets cooperate, and that nothing goes wrong. And if just one of those fails, that smart decision can backfire hard. Because the biggest Social Security mistake isn't what you think. Let me show you something most people miss. Imagine two people. Person A waits until 70. Person B claims at 62. Everyone assumes person A wins. Bigger check, more money, end of story. But that's only true in a perfect world, with perfect health and perfect timing. Real life doesn't work like that. And once you see what actually matters, this decision flips. Here are 7 reasons why claiming at 62 can quietly outperform waiting. At 62, money starts hitting your account. At 70, you've been waiting 8 years. That's 96 missed payments. Let that sink in. You're not losing money by claiming early. You're shifting when you receive it. And time is the most valuable variable in this entire equation. But here's where most people get trapped. But most people don't think in time. They think in totals. They chase the biggest number on paper, not the most money in hand. They delay, hoping for more, while ignoring what they're giving up today. Because 8 years isn't just time, it's cash flow you never touched. It's freedom delayed, decisions postponed, options reduced. And by the time they realize it, the window to use that money is smaller. You've probably heard this argument. Wait long enough and you'll come out ahead. That's based on something called break-even age, usually around 80. Sounds logical. But here's what nobody tells you. Break-even is not a guarantee. It's a bet. And it's a bet with one condition. You have to live long enough to win it. If you don't, you lose completely. And this next reason makes that risk even bigger. And this next reason makes that risk even bigger. Because the math assumes perfect health. No interruptions, no limitations. But real life doesn't follow projections. Medical costs rise, energy drops, and the freedom you delayed becomes harder to use. So the question isn't just, will you live longer? It's, will those years feel the same? People plan retirement like they'll feel 65 forever. But reality? Energy declines, health changes, priorities shift. The years between 62 and 75 are often the most active years of retirement. And waiting means you delay using your own money during your most valuable years. Claiming early flips that. You get income when it actually matters most. Now, this is where the strategy gets interesting. Not just about when you claim, it's how you use it. Early income can reduce pressure and give you control. It can fund experiences, not just expenses. It can protect your savings instead of forcing you to draw them down. And in many cases, it creates flexibility most people never consider. Because the real advantage isn't the check, it's what that check allows you to do. And that's where the strategy quietly compounds. Not just in dollars, but in choices. You can take less risk when markets feel unstable, or take more risk because your basics are covered. You can delay withdrawals and let investments breathe, or use the income to rebalance without panic. It becomes a buffer between you and bad decisions, a steady layer of certainty in an uncertain system. And over time, that stability doesn't just protect wealth, it quietly builds it. Let's say you don't need the money. Most people think, then just wait. But there's a second strategy almost nobody talks about. Take it early. Invest. Now you've created an alternative path. Instead of relying on a fixed increase, you introduce compounding. And here's the twist. Even average returns can compete with the guaranteed increase from waiting. Not always, but often enough to change the game. But this next one is where people lose the most money, because the biggest mistake isn't claiming early or late. It's what you do after you decide. Most people take the money and let it disappear into lifestyle. No plan, no structure, no intention. And that kills the entire strategy. Because without discipline, even the best timing becomes irrelevant. This is called sequence of returns risk. Sounds boring, It's not. It's dangerous. Here's what happens. You retire. Market drops. You withdraw anyway. Now your portfolio shrinks and never fully recovers. This destroys retirements. But Social Security at 62 reduces how much you withdraw, buys your portfolio time, lowers the damage. And that can be worth far more than a bigger check later. But the biggest advantage isn't even about income. It's about time. Time for your portfolio to recover. Time to avoid selling at the worst moments. Time to let compounding actually work. Because once you interrupt it, the damage isn't obvious right away. But years later, it shows up everywhere. Most people optimize for, how big is my check? Smart people optimize for, how much do I keep? Here's the insight. If you delay Social Security, you often withdraw more from retirement accounts, and that increases taxes. Claiming earlier can smooth income, reduce tax spikes, improve lifetime outcomes. This isn't obvious, but over 20 to 30 years, it compounds. And now the most underrated reason, control. Waiting gives you a bigger number, but claiming early gives you options. You decide how to use it, when to invest, when to spend, instead of being locked into one fixed path, because flexibility in retirement is often more valuable than maximizing a single check. This has nothing to do with math, and everything to do with behavior. When people feel uncertain, they panic. They sell investments. They make bad decisions. When they feel secure, they stay invested. They stick to the plan. They think long-term. Early Social Security creates predictable income, psychological stability, and that leads to better decisions, which leads to better outcomes. And that's where the real advantage shows up, not in spreadsheets, but in behavior over time. Because one bad decision can undo years of progress. Selling at the wrong moment, changing strategy too often, breaking the very system that was supposed to compound. Stability protects you from yourself, and that protection is often worth more than a bigger check. So here's the truth. This decision is not about maximizing money. It's about minimizing risk, longevity risk, market risk, tax risk, behavior risk. And once you see that, the wait as long as possible advice starts to fall apart. Claiming at 62 isn't wrong. Delaying isn't wrong either. What's wrong is blindly following a rule that doesn't fit your life. Because retirement isn't about winning on paper. It's about not losing in reality. And that's where clarity matters most. Because there is no universal best age. Only the one that fits your reality, your health, your income, your peace of mind. The goal isn't perfection. It's resilience over time, a plan you can stick to. So here's the real question. Would you rather have more money later or more control now? Comment below. I'm curious where you stand. And if you want a breakdown of when waiting actually does win, that's the next video.